starting now. I'm going to share this one. Very small presentation. All right. Okay. So we are here. We are here. Yes. Way to shut the Nam Bhajan. So it's like going to temple. We want to go to temple. We want to have darshan of the Lord, but we're still getting ready at home. We have to drive now. That's how our position is. But yeah, we have to clear our way before we can have darshan and stay there peacefully. So that's what we are doing. And so in this series, all this comes under grounding or invoking mercy. And so far we have discussed about the uniqueness of Harinam and how all the limbs of bhakti are meant to bring our kirtan to some kirtan, total perfect kirtan or total kirtan. And that can happen, that can just happen by holy name itself. Holy name is so potent, and when our faith is so strong, it can just happen with the holy name. But initially, when our faith is not that great, then we want to do our outside bhakti, so our inside japa can also be good. And that's what we are trying to do now. We are getting to know more about outside japa. Outside japa is, inside japa is about chanting, and outside japa is bhakti. What did I say? Bhakti outside is equal to japa inside. Yeah. So we are talking more about bhakti outside. In the sense that 22 hours of the time, how are we practicing bhakti? So our 2 hours of japa can go well. And that's what we are discussing on, how we can do our bhakti better outside. In that, we discussed about how bhakti can be up and down in the beginning because we have things to sort out and clear those things. So that bhakti, up and down bhakti in the beginning is called aparadha, bhakti aparadha. And that's because of ignorance and passion. And that brought us to this chart of how our bhakti in ignorance and passion looks like. We may be doing bhakti outside, but inside we are complaining, we are resentful, sorrowful, and we see that the other person is the reason for our sorrow. And we don't tend to see that we are also part of the equation. Yeah, this is all under the influence of passion and ignorance. And we are impatient, and we are not so strong, proud, anger. We have undue anger and harsh dealings, all these things. So these qualities, if we see ourselves having these qualities, that is because of passion and ignorance. So though we are practicing bhakti outside, if we notice that we are having these qualities, Bhagavad Gita is saying that is bhakti in the mode of ignorance and passion. And we have to move on to bhakti in goodness. And again, all this information is from Bhagavad Gita, more in 14th chapter, 16, 17, and 18. So this is all based on the Shastra. So if we notice that we are practicing bhakti with these things inside, then that is bhakti aparadha. So First thing is we have to know if we are practicing bhakti like this, that is bhakti aparada, and we don't want to settle down there. We have to put efforts so we can come to mode of goodness. Then that is at least bhakti abhasa, bhakti in goodness. So that's what we were discussing last time. So this list here is wonderful. This is a great Shastric guidance for us to at least see what kind of bhakti we are practicing. If my speech is not helpful to others, beneficial to others, I may be practicing bhakti outside. Somebody have to mute, please. Can somebody mute that, please? I don't know where it is coming from. Yeah, thank you. If we are practicing bhakti outside, but if we are entertaining, you are muted. I'm not muted now. Okay. And if we are entertaining these feelings inside, at least we should know that we are doing a bhakti aparada. So this list here, the attitude, if my attitude is like that, and if my speech is not beneficial, and if I don't have a, simplicity and satisfaction in my mind, these things, then I know that I'm doing bhakti aparada and I have to get better. So first thing is to know what kind of bhakti we are practicing. Who will tell us? The Shastra will tell us. Right? Now that we know, now that we got the guidance, that we have to move to the mode of goodness, how can we get there? That's the next question. Yes, I really don't want to do this bhakti aparada. I don't want to be in this ignorance and passion. I don't want this anger. I don't want to be proud. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be resentful. I want to get better. I want to go into goodness. What can I do? So first thing is we knew we have identified these qualities. Second thing is desire. So our desire have to be strong. That we have to move to goodness. Desire has to be strong. It means it has to come, manifest as effort. It should be shown as effort. That I want to get better, to move to goodness. So what kind of effort can we put? That is the topic for us today. Because I don't think any one of us here would not have the desire to get better in bhakti. But how can we get better in bhakti? Yeah. So these are the challenges that we face in bhakti. All these qualities, because of ignorance and passion, they come out as we practice bhakti. And that stage is called anartha nivritti. Once we start practicing bhakti, and when we are doing bhakti aparada, because of ignorance and passion that we already have within all of us in the beginning, we have all that, and all the dirt is that comes out. And when the dirt is coming out, we think the dirt is because of others, because of the life, because of the situations around, like that. That's the nature of the ignorance and passion. It makes us look out for the fault, not look within. How do we know? See, from Shastra Chakshu. We have to see what is our status with the glasses of Shastra Chakshu. So in anartha nivritti, when all this dirt of ignorance and passion is coming out of us, we think others are at fault, and we are not. We are not at fault. Even if we are in fault, it's only very little, but others are doing a lot. That is how we feel. Okay, so that's the stage of anartha nivritti. So there are two things. That's a stage of anartha nivritti, and before categorizing what kind of anarthas would come out, I will let you see what Bhagavad Gita is saying, what Lord Krishna is saying. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance are demonic in nature. So if I am having these qualities, if I am being proud and arrogant, and if I'm unduly anger, we'll come to that also. What does it mean, undue anger and good anger? And if I'm harsh, these are all demonic in nature, negative. These are all negative qualities. And uncontrollable desire, this comes under passion. Inertia, madness. This madness here is a lot of sorrowness. Sinking energy, is all is ignorance. Yeah. So these are the different qualities in ignorance and passion that we have already categorized. Basically, all these things are negative qualities, causing negativity to us and negativity to others. So, and these qualities, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is saying, they are not just like, negative all the time or positive all the time. They come and go. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance. At other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passions. So these are up and downs. Throughout the day, we feel sometimes positive, sometimes negative. So these are all the modes that are acting on us. And Bhagavad Gita is saying we have to be introspective. We have to observe ourselves. This positivity and negativity that is happening with us. Negativity is more because of ignorance and passion. And if there is a little positivity, that's goodness. And when it is Krishnized, that is devotion. So we have to be observant in our spiritual journey every day, day-to-day life. We cannot just go on autopilot mode, mechanically. I'm just talking to myself, actually. Whatever I'm saying, I want to reinforce it to myself. We want to be aware of ourselves. That's one thing. And know that these are modes, O Bharata. Whatever is acting within you, these are modes only, Bharata. These pushings and pullings. Okay? So when I am aware of what's happening with me, the pushings and pullings, at the same time, one who knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature, Lord Krishna is saying. So being aware of what is happening within us, being introspective of whether we being negative or positive. Yeah. At the same time, anchoring ourselves to the Lord, thinking of Lord Krishna, anchoring ourselves to Lord. If that happens, then Lord Krishna is saying he can enjoy nectar even in this life. So being introspective of what's happening with us, at the same time, taking shelter of Krishna. We will see what that means. Taking shelter of Krishna means being under the guidance of instruction of Guru, Shastra and Guru. Now that we know how we should be under the guidance of Shastra, Bhagavad Gita is saying, right? That we have to be observant and then at the same time think of Krishna and do our responsibility and whatever service is there in a way that is pleasing to Krishna. So that is taking shelter of Krishna. Yeah. Being introspective, seeing where we are, and then our focus is to see what our next service or responsibility is and doing it in a way that is pleasing to Krishna. When we are doing that, then they can enjoy nectar even in this life. That is actually devotional service, doing something like that in that mood. even if it is taking care of the children or cooking at home or doing our job. If I'm not complaining, if I'm not resentful to what is given to me, whatever responsibility as a grihastha is given to me, and or whatever service is given to me. A responsibility means it's a service. It's just a matter of how am I looking at it. Doing my responsibilities as wife, mother, cooking here, taking care of children, caring for husband, caring for the family. All these are responsibilities when you think in a mode of goodness. They're services when we are thinking in the mode of devotion. So for us, all these responsibilities that we have are actually services. So introspecting, being aware of if we have that positivity or negativity inside, and then anchoring to Krishna, thinking of Krishna and carrying our responsibilities or services in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, whatever service it might be, in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, that is devotional service, and that gives the nectar even in this life. We don't have to go to sannyasa ashram. We don't have to move to temple and stay there only. We don't necessarily have to be in the temple structure to do the devotional service. Devotional service is more about our mood, our attitude about what is given to us in our life. As a grihastha, we have our responsibilities. If we are doing that as a service to our family members in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, that service right there. And of course, direct services are there, which is Harinam, direct service, deity service, Harinam. Even hearing the katha, if we are doing it under the mood of surrender, is a direct service too. So, every responsibility that we are given is also service to Krishna because we are dovetailing it. It's more of dovetailing service in direct service. But the direct service, as we said, are already there for us. Krishna Katha, Harinam, deity service, those are direct services. So all these things that we are already doing every day, all of us are already doing. We want to do it in a right mode, peacefully, look at it as a service, and then perform it. If we get to that mode of doing, our responsibilities as services peacefully, then that is devotional service right there. Yeah, that's in the at least in the beginning stages. This is very much valid to us. And next slide. Yes, Lord Krishna is saying, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances. Yeah, unfailing in all circumstances. It may not be very easy in the initial stages of sadhana bhakti, but as we continue to do bhakti in the guidance of Shastra like this, and parallelly listen to the acharyas and imbibe their mood and their faith, we will gradually get to more into spontaneous bhakti. And then as we head in that direction, all things get more easier for us. It's only hard in the beginning, but later on, it just gets very easy for us. So that's why we want to put every step in light of Shastra and guidance in the beginning. So it becomes our habit and we save our time. And in that way, we quickly come to mode of goodness. And then the songs of acharyas will make more sense to us. They will not just be words only. Okay, so these are the words from Bhagavad Gita. And our topic here, now that we have heard even from Gita, that we want to get to the mode of goodness. Say, let's take this example. I'm angry here, but how can I be peaceful? We will take that example and see how we can practically get there from a lower mode, that is ignorance or passion, to at least to the goodness. So, so far we have discussed about, anardas. Anardas in bhakti, anardhanivritti, that is inevitable for us in the beginning stage. And at that stage, when the dirt is coming out, then we have to be mindful that the dirt is from us, not so much because of the people around or because of the situations around. That's number one thing. Second thing is, we want to be cognizant of how we are feeling, positive or negative. Third thing is, then move on under the guidance of the Shastra. Okay. Under the guidance of the Shastra, how can we categorize these anarthas? There are two. If we categorize them broadly, there are two challenges. Those challenges can be categorized into these two things in anardhanivritti. Because of the passion, we have pushes or urges. And because of the ignorance, we tend to sink down. We feel sad, we feel sorrow, lazy, like that. So this sinking energy is ignorance. This pushing energy is passion. So these are the things that act on us during this anardhanivritti stage. If we go here to this chart, look at this. If we categorize all these things, all the don'ts, they fall either in pushings, passion or urge, or sinking, or pulling down energy. Yeah, too engrossed, unclean, uncaring, and so these are all sinking down energies, and a lot of them are pushings here. Resentful, complaining, that is all sinking down. Laziness, sadness, hurting ourselves, these are all sinking. When we feel like that energy, pulling down energy, that's because of the ignorance. So pulling down or sinking energy, or pushing or urges, the words coming out harsh. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jivva vegam, udaropashta vegam, etan veganyo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam pradvimsa sishyat. These are the pushings in anardhanivritti. We have to be mindful of these pushings. So these are urges. Talking is different from urge to talk. Speaking is good. Speaking is allowed. But the urge to speak is something to check. Anger, when it is coming out without control, that is something to check. Even if it is on children or on the students or anybody, the anger can be used, but used with an intention under control, not an uncontrolled one. An uncontrolled one is called vegam, urge. Yeah. So when we catch ourselves with any of these urges, it means pause, break. We have to control these urges. As we learn to recognize and control these things, we are heading towards goodness. What are those urges? Vacho vegam, urge to speak. It means when there is an urge to speak, we don't know if it is going to be beneficial to other person or not, but I want to speak. If that's what I'm trying to do, then I have to break. I have to stop myself. That's an urge. That's a vegam. Yeah, like that. Manasa krodha vegam, and mind also, an urge to do things. Krodha vegam, anger. Anger just gushing out without our control over it. That is vegam. When the anger is needed to discipline somebody, then it will not come out as an urge. It will come in a controllable way, in a defined quantity. in an amount that is needed for others. So that is not urge. So anger is used where it is needed, but with that control and totally with the control. That way, with the control over the quantity also, how much to be angry, how much, when to be angry, like that. So having that control over the anger for a discipline purpose is different, but not the urge, uncontrollable one. Tongue, uncontrollable, again, talking or eating. Jihva and udaropashta. Udara is eating, stomach, hungry or not, just sending. And sometimes hungry, can't tolerate, just sending. So these are the urges. And of course, sense gratification. Sense gratification binds us to the bodily platform. That's the problem. So these are the things, these are the urges to make note of, and we have to put volunteer effort to stop these urges. We cannot expect them not to come because we have had it for such a long time, so many lives. They keep coming, but when they come, we don't have to get disheartened, disappointed, lose hope, but we just control. And as we do it over a period of time, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says so well, we just don't control it. We use it in the service of Krishna. This force that comes out within us in the form of urges, let that force go towards the service. That's what Srila Narottam Das Thakur says. That's about the urges. So this is about one category in Anartha Nivritti. Because most of our anarthas, our problems are because of these urges. And if these urges are controlled, 50% of Anartha Nivritti is taken care of. At least we know we have categorized what are there in anarthas. One section is urges, and these are the list of urges, and we want to voluntarily do something about it to control them. And again, I wanted to mention one more thing. Say krodha vegam. Say if I'm feeling angry about certain things, say about children or about somebody, there might be a reason. So not that we should not be angry. Here the point is we don't want to be uncontrollably angry. That's point one. Also, we want to see why we are angry. Maybe there is something that needs to be taken care of. Maybe the discipline is needed, or maybe they have to do it right, or maybe I have to do it right. Maybe I am not seeing it, but something needs to be taken care of. So that second part also needs to be addressed. I wanted to put a new, let me do this here at least now. This is the one, how you can address the second part. Address your emotion. Any emotion. This is how we want to address. So any of this positive emotion or negative emotion. Let's take an example of negative emotion. Say if I have this anger. First of all, we want to recognize. Recognize is, I was all right up until now. There is something that I did not feel right. So recognizing that we are not feeling something right, not right. Say if I was peaceful all this time, and all of a sudden I was not feeling peaceful. Recognizing that I was not feeling peaceful. That R stands for recognition. So I have recognized that I'm not peaceful. Why am I not? Then U is recognize and seeing the root cause. I'm blanking on that. L is label, recognition. U is, I'm blanking on that. We'll get to that anyway. And E is express. R is response. This we generally do it. Understand. Yeah, this is good. So most of us, by default, we generally do it, but some of us may not do it, and they can get caught up in the anger or sadness. So for them, it can be really helpful. And again, going on with that example, say if I was peaceful and all of a sudden I don't see myself peaceful, then I have to recognize that something was not right with me. That's recognition. Okay. And understand, you have to please excuse me. Yeah, but I will say the summary of it and then label it. Say if that was an anger or sadness or anything. So labeling it. So this part is important. At least the reason I'm emphasizing this point is, if we are angry, don't put a lid on it. Don't just shove it away. We have to address that. If we are sad, we have to see maybe there is a reason why we are sad, and we have to see what we can do about it. That's why. So we have to recognize and then label the emotion too. Then express. Express is at least, okay, I am recognizing, and sometimes just knowing that I'm anger is not enough or sad is not enough. We have to put it on the paper. Sometimes the sadness can be really a lot. And if we don't do anything about it, it will be lingering there. And even when we are doing the japa, also the same sadness continues because we haven't done anything about it. So for some, expressing it on the book can help. In the book can help, or express it to the people, family or friends or therapists. Somehow it should come out. We don't keep it inside. It should come out. If you're not comfortable saying it to others, at least to yourself. And some people do it to gurus, some people to themselves, and some people to do journaling. But this expression can make a big difference. At least we are not pent up inside. A bottle which is capped has a lot of pressure inside. And if we keep all this within us, and if we sit for chanting, how can we focus? Right? These are all unresolved. So we have to, if there is a need, we have to express it out. If we have capability of just keeping it to ourselves and journaling, that's fine. Otherwise, just express it to friends, family, or therapists, or professionals, whoever it is. And the last one is response. What am I doing about this? Okay, I'm angry about this or sad about it, but what am I doing about it? Say, for example, child, I'm angry because he's not listening to me or she's not listening to me. So what am I doing about it? That also, we should give a thought about it. We cannot just leave it undone. Anything left undone will continue to carry on with us. And sometimes in life, we can only do 100%, we cannot solve the problems, but we can at least try to recognize it and then see what can be done and do our part. If we don't do it outside the japa in the 22 hours, the same thing will come in our japa, and we tend to think about the same thing. So we want to try to resolve it to the best of our capacity outside the japa. So when this thought comes inside the japa, then we can say ourselves, this is already done. It doesn't have to disturb me now. Again, sometimes there can be solution exactly the way we want. Sometimes it may not be the same. Then it's a matter of compromise and understanding and compromise, basically, because faults can be with any one of us. So in any case, keeping the subjective views aside, but this is what can help us not to bottle up all the emotions within, but express it to yourself or to others and do something about it if it needs to be addressed. Do your best, and if that's all can be done, then there is no point in thinking about that further. So it does not have to disturb us again during japa. So this is something we could use if you haven't already done, but this can be helpful. If we don't recognize our emotions and not do anything about it, they would just stay within us, inside the japa, outside the japa, and for the time to come. At least doing something about it, sorting out to the best of our capacity, and then move on. And in the last step, what devotees do is this response here. The suggested way is to go towards a solution that brings us closer to Krishna. Mam evaye prapatyante maya ye tam tarantite. Whatever challenges we might have, what Krishna is saying, if you do the prapatyanti, that's the way you can overcome the challenge. And coming to the practical purpose of how to apply that prapatyanti is whatever decision that we are going to take, we have to see how is it getting us closer to Krishna. And what does that mean? Getting closer to Krishna doesn't mean that we leave home and go live in the temple, that we just cut off all the relationships and think that we are a great devotee and not really care about them, and just in the name of devotional service, just do, the services, external services outside, but not caring for the responsibilities. No. Going towards Krishna means 3 things have to happen. We have to have jivadaya, kindness. And we have to be in a serving mood to the people around, Vaishnavas around. And we should be having increasing taste to the holy name. This is what going towards Krishna means. Namruchi, Jivadaya, Vaishnava Seva. So my mood should be in more of a servitude mode rather than utilizing or exploiting mode. That is going towards Krishna. So anything that helps us to go in that direction, then if our response is in that direction, that will be favorable for our bhakti. Generally, this is done under guidance. If you are able to do it yourself and see that your decision is going towards Nam Ruchi, Jivadaya, and Vaishnava Seva, awesome. Please keep it going. And if you are unable to do it yourself, then seek guidance, and that would be helpful for you. This is how we deal the challenges in the Anartha Nivritti. Both this can be applied both for the urges. We just have to, I think that in the urges too there are emotions, and in the pullings or sinking down also there are emotions like sadness, laziness, sadness. These are also emotions. So there are emotions both in these urges. Anger is an urge, and in sinking and pulling down, that is for depression, sorrow. That's not an urge, but that's a sinking down thing. So in both of these things, the anarthas are coming out in the form of these negative emotions, basically. So this is how we want to deal with those negative emotions. Recognize them, seek help, take guidance, and then move on in a way that it gets us closer to Nam Ruchi, Jivadaya, and Vaishnava Seva. At the same time, we have to be healing inside. That's why it should be done under guidance, Anartha Nivritti. Okay, so that's about the 2 categories in Anartha Nivritti. With the passion, that's the pushes, and with the ignorance, that is sinking. And this is how we can sort it out. And this thing is based on the Srimad Bhagavatam shloka. Tatenu kampam susamichamana bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam Ridvagavapubervidadam namaste jive tayo muktipade dayava. If you look at this translation, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of past misdeeds. So patiently suffering all the past misdeeds. Here, we are not entertaining any negativity about others. We are not blaming others. Yeah, we are not blaming others. At the same time, we are not inflicting upon us. We are not going into depression also. Patiently going through this, sorting out under guidance. Yeah, and while we sort it out under guidance patiently, then continue offering your respectful obeisances with heart, words, and body. It means continuing to do bhakti, offering respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body. Then what happens if we do that? Is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. As we continue our bhakti like that, with introspection, not having negativity about others or not having negativity about us, but sort out the things that we are going through under guidance in a way that gets us closer to Krishna, which is Nam Ruchi Jivadaya and Vaishnava Seva, then surely they will be able to progress in bhakti, the sadhana bhakti, which would lead to raga bhakti. Okay, this is how one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him. So this is how we carry the journey of sadhana bhakti. And that's how we get through this anartha nivritti and deal with these emotions that come through pushings and pullings. Okay, so that's about anartha nivritti. Let me just summarize it quickly about what we have discussed today. After we discussed about glorification or uniqueness of Harinam, we have seen ourselves that we might be doing bhakti aparadha especially in the initial stages. So if we are having this kind of negativity within us, the attitude or in the speech, then it is bhakti aparadha inside, though we are practicing bhakti outside. And we want to get to the mode of goodness. And how do we get there? We have to acknowledge first that this is not abnormal. All of us go through, especially in the beginning stages of bhakti, and it is because of mode of passion and ignorance, and these come in waves all the time. What do we do about it? We have to be cognizant, introspective, that these things are happening within us and not to blame others, and how to sort out the emotions, not to blame others. And Lord Krishna is saying, be cognizant what's happening with you, and then anchor to Krishna, right? And be cognizant. On that part, we have discussed about different emotions that come out during this anartha nivritti, which can be categorized as urges and sinking, pulling down energy. In both of these things, pushes and urges are because of passion, sinking down is because of ignorance. In both of these things, emotions come out. And when these emotions come out, we want to see if they are reasonable or not. If something needs to be done with that emotion or not. Sometimes it's just that we have to control. There is nothing more to be done about it. But sometimes maybe there is something that needs to be addressed. So any emotion that comes out, it is not wrong for an emotion to come out. It's okay when the emotion is coming, we just acknowledge it. We don't battle with it. We don't have to suppress it. First step is acknowledge and then express it. If you have to express it to yourself or to your family or to your counselor, whoever it is, express it. And then response. What are we doing about it? That you do it yourself if you can, otherwise take guidance. For the devotees, we want to see that our response gets us closer to Krishna. Means internally, we want to see that it is leading towards Jivodaya, Namruchi, and Vaishnava Seva. And that's how we sort out all these emotions that come out during Anartha Nivritti. And this is from Upadeshamrita. These are the different kind of urges that we want to control. And a quick thing is, these Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpo Nimagraha. These are the don'ts in bhakti. Why? Because they will stimulate these urges. That's why do not do Atyahara. Do not do Prajalpa, unnecessary chatting, gossip. That's why you just don't do bhakti based only on rules and regulations. We have to understand why we are doing it. Yeah. Janasangascha, laulyamcha, and having greed. So these things can aggravate our urges. That's why they say, try not to do this. Don't go for this. And utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat karma pravartana. These things can help us to sort out and move on with tatenukampam susamikshmana. That's why those things are recommended. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat. Okay. And the last thing is to mention that the ruler here is based on the Srimad Bhagavatam sloka. Tatenukampam susamikshmana. Do not want to entertain negativity about others. We do not want to inflict negativity on us. Third thing is, yes, we want to address and do what is needed in that situation. Do it under guidance. Yeah. And fourth thing is, continue bhakti like that with patience. And as we go on, then the mercy will flow through and we are eligible for later stages of bhakti, which is raga bhakti, which automatically gives liberation. I'm going to pause here. I am sorry. 9:55. Sorry. I'm going to stop sharing. I don't know what to say.